Brave escape. Tonight, how the escape of two teenage girls led to the arrest of a St. Louis County man and the rescue of a third girl. Plus, when criminals get caught.
It's all about the money.
Just what happens to the luxurious contraband they own? And saying thanks backfires.
White Trash Wednesday. That's not good.
How one school is getting a lesson in diversity after a themed Teacher Appreciation Week goes wrong. STL Now on ABC 30 starts right now.
This is STL Now on ABC 30, powered by News Channel 5.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Talia Kaplan. Let's get right to your top local news stories. A case of alleged sex trafficking in North St. Louis County. 3 teenage girls are safe and the man who police say held them captive is behind bars. Authorities say this man, 39-year-old Anton Mark Morris, is behind bars tonight, facing 3 sex trafficking charges. This is Morris's home where he was taken into custody earlier this week. Investigators say he met a 16-year-old girl through social media. They say she was told to recruit others who were 17 and 19 years old. Police say Morris enticed the girls into performing sexual acts for money after he rented them a St. Louis County motel room and advertised the sexual favors. Officials say members of the community can help stop crimes like this.
So anybody sees these ads on these media, social media, that by all means report them, and because there's nothing good for them. I mean, you're putting people out there as available to commit sex acts. That's generally not good.
Right now, the Missouri Sex Offender Registry list is a hot topic. The Missouri House has approved a plan to make major changes to the list. Now it moves on to the Senate. Now, right now, the list looks like this. It's pretty much a one-size-fits-all concept. So, for example, you can have a 19-year-old who dated a 16-year-old in high school right next to a child rapist, and you would never know who's who. Everyone I spoke with today says it's time for change.
I was numb and I didn't know what was happening to me.
This St. Louis woman who wants to remain anonymous was a victim of a sex crime.
When I was 11 years old, I was walking in my neighborhood and basically I was abducted at gunpoint and sexually assaulted.
She says as far as she knows, her attacker was never caught.
I wish he would have been caught, prosecuted, and then put on a sex offender registry list.
But she wishes the list was more descriptive, so she was thrilled when she found out the Missouri House approved a bill which groups offenders into 3 tiers depending on the severity of the crimes.
I think it's a very good thing that they're bringing in the tiered system.
Eventually, some offenders could file a petition in court and ask to be removed from the registry. Part of the legislation also seeks to increase the penalty for incest, child rape, and child abuse resulting in death.
Missouri is way behind in how we treat our sex offender list.
Tony Rothert with the American Civil Liberties Union of Eastern Missouri is all for the bill, especially because most states already implement the tiered system.
For too long, Missouri has had a one-size-fits-all registration scheme, and it lumps together people who pose a serious, real risk of recidivism with people who do not, and it makes the list meaningless as a resource for parents, and it also punishes people who don't need to be punished by keeping them on the list for life.
I hope that the bill passes in the Senate and that we can implement the system, this new system, as soon as possible.
We should learn the fate of this bill in the coming weeks. The Missouri legislative session ends May 17th. A St. Louis County University is beefing up security tonight while police look for a suspected arsonist. We're told someone intentionally set 2 cars on fire early this morning. The fires both happened in a parking lot on the Missouri Baptist University campus. Creve Coeur police are still looking for the person responsible. The university is also asking overnight parkers to use a different lot. More than 100 homeowners in Bridgeton could find themselves without a place to live. A proposal in front of the Bridgeton City Council tonight could allow the land to be sold to a developer. The area I'm talking about is the Terrace and Rest mobile home community, which is up for sale. The property is bordered by St. Charles Rock Road, I-270, Missouri Route 370, and an irregular line to the west. Bridgeton's mayor says the area that's most desirable for development is a piece of land that was bought as part of the Lamport Airport expansion. It's literally hundreds of acres of vacant property that aren't on tax rolls and could be put to good use. But as it stands right now, the Terrace and Rest neighborhood is still included in the proposal. That has homeowners there very uncertain about the future.
This is a family place. You know, it's not just a house. So it will be different, it will be challenging. It won't be the end of the world, and hopefully it won't happen at all.
The mayor of Bridgeton says this proposal is just getting off the ground and lots of things could change if it is even approved. He says ultimately the final decision will be up to the developer and the owner of Terrace and Rest. A manager for the property says he has no intentions of selling out. He said he's here for the residents and plans to stay that way. Right now, crews are working furiously to fix a water main break that cut water service to a city hall and school. The break is on Airport Road in Berkeley. It forced the city's government building to shut down. Airport Elementary in the Ferguson-Florissant district was also without water today, so administrators brought in bottled water and portable toilets. Children were also excused for the day if their parents wanted to pick them up. Water is expected to be restored to both buildings tomorrow. A first for the St. Louis office of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. They will get their first explosives sniffing dog. The 15-month-old chocolate lab named Andy was raised by prison inmates through the program Puppies Behind Bars. She just wrapped up training in Virginia. Now to what's happening across the country. 3 more suspects have been arrested in connection to the Boston Marathon bombings. But as ABC's Tamon Bradley reports, Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick says the 3 are not considered participants in the bombings.
Today, the 3 new suspects appeared in federal court. The charges against them say that before the FBI searched Zohar Tsarnaev's dorm room at UMass Dartmouth, 2 of his friends, Diaz Kodobayev and Asmat Tuzanikov, had already removed and thrown out Zohar's laptop and a backpack containing fireworks. The 2 men have been charged with obstruction of justice.
It's a broad charge because it has anything to do with impeding, aiding, or destroying evidence.
The 3rd suspect, Robel Filipos, is charged with repeatedly lying to federal agents. The government also alleges that one of the friends sent Zohar a text message after seeing pictures identifying him as a bombing suspect. Zohar responded with an LOL, laughing out loud text.
Depending on the severity and involvement of somebody will clearly depend what ultimately the sentence they'll end up with.
Kadarbayev and Tuzayakov, both from Kazakhstan, have been detained for 2 weeks on visa violations since they were first questioned about the marathon bombings.
Part of the responsibility of investigators is to explore all possible associations or connections.
Catherine Russell, the widow of Tamerlan Tsarnaev, remains under intense federal scrutiny for her possible role in the bombing. Her attorney denies she had any knowledge of the bomb plot.
Prominent death penalty lawyer is joining Zohar Tsarnaev's defense team. She represented Unabomber Ted Kaczynski and Tucson shooter Jared Loeffner. Tamon Bradley, ABC News, Washington.
We're learning more about the investigation into that suspected 9/11 airplane part that was found in New York City last week. It was wedged between 2 buildings near the World Trade Center site, and we now know no human remains have been found there. That was a concern when the part was found last week. Earlier today, officers used a pulley system to raise and recover the 255-pound piece. The big jagged part is believed to be from one of the 2 hijacked airliners that brought down the Trade Center on September 11, 2001. Ground beef has gotten a bad rap for being contaminated with E. coli. Now ground turkey is going under the microscope, and what experts are finding is downright dangerous. Antibiotic-resistant bacteria has been found in ground turkey in grocery stores in 21 states across the country. Consumer Reports found that of the 257 samples of ground turkey tested, more than half were found to be positive for fecal bacteria, and almost all were contaminated with 1 or more types of disease-causing organisms that are resistant to common antibiotics. Now to a glimpse at the lives of the rich and infamous. Criminals who get around in private jets and luxury yachts. But when they get caught, can their victims get their swank spoils? ABC's Pierre Thomas explains.
245, 250, done. A beautiful quarter horse, one of more than 300 for sale. But this is not your typical auction. This one is being coordinated by the U.S. Marshals. The horses were owned by this corrupt city bookkeeper. Rita Crundwell embezzled $50 million from Dixon, Illinois taxpayers, typical of the lifestyles of the rich and infamous. At any given moment, the U.S. Marshals are managing $4 billion in assets from the nation's worst convicted criminals. Proceeds go to pay victims and fund police. Check out this Marshals car auction in Ohio.
Some of the nation's biggest criminals have great taste, like the crook who owned this classic 1963 split-window Corvette valued at $75,000. Love this car. As for the taste of other alleged criminals, I'm not so sure. This is the Hulkmobile.
A drug dealer spent $175,000 turning the car into a monster. Power hood, power trunk, TVs everywhere.
You know, it's all about the money.
It's not just classic cars. We're talking yachts, a $2 million RV, extravagant jewelry, even a diamond-studded SpongeBob. Here's the secret hangar where the government stores confiscated airplanes.
Comfortably seat up to 8 people and have the TVs throughout, the small monitors, nice wet bar.
Lifestyles of the rich and infamous. Pierre Thomas, ABC News, Fort Worth, Texas.
Gotta love that Hulkmobile. Coming up on STL Now, Teacher Appreciation Week turns controversial. Why Muffin Top Monday and Tempt Me Tuesday aren't the days causing the controversy. But first, her fans call her Queen Bee. But what about behind the scenes? Tonight, we've got Beyonce's tour rider.
Well, I hope you had a chance to enjoy today's nice sunny and dry weather because it is on its way out. Tomorrow will be very different. Temperatures cold enough to support even snow in part of the state. I'll show you when we come back.